everybody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
Today we got a video for the brand new graffiti artist, the one who just got into this amazing art form and doesn't really know what to expect, doesn't really know where they stand. We're gonna be chatting about a couple things I wish I knew when I very first began. And the last tip might be one of the most important ones. Now, if you're more experienced in graffiti, if you got a bunch of years under your belt, feel free to share your perspective on this topic in the comments down below. Because the first one we're starting off with, I feel like is a bit of a heavy hitter, and it's gonna be, don't rush getting out of the toy phase. I see a lot of brand new graffiti artists, whether it's on Instagram DMs or it's on YouTube, a lot of people want to get out of the toy phase. That's the end goal. And it certainly was mine when I first started as well. But look, myself, along with plenty of other very experienced graffiti artists, will tell you, some of your most fun years are when you were a toy. This is the phase of graffiti where things are still new to you. Everything is still new to you. Not to mention the fact that people's eagerness to get out of the toy phase is almost always based on other people's approval, on having other people validate them. Look, getting the admiration of other graffiti artists does nothing for you. But oftentimes in people's eagerness to get out of the toy phase, they miss out on enjoying a lot of those things. They miss out on enjoying a brand new hairstyle that, sure, it might not be great, it might suck, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. That doesn't mean that you can't sit there and be proud about what you just made. Also, all too often, new graffiti artists, they get caught up in drama, they get caught up in the politics of graffiti, they get caught up in trying to impress and trying to gain acclaim, and all of that bogs down the experience. And really, this all boils down to you coming to terms with the fact that you're an amateur, and you coming to terms with the fact that you don't have to impress anybody. You can make progress at your pace and enjoy the art form. Both are very possible. And oftentimes, enjoying that toy phase is what gives you the love and the passion to ensure your longevity in graffiti in the first place. While oftentimes rushing that toy phase and not enjoying that is usually what makes people quit, because they don't have that investment, they don't have that emotional tether to graffiti. If you guys want to learn graffiti, then check out our brand new book we recently released that teaches you all graffiti's fundamentals. There is no other book on the market like this. We even teach you variant structures in here, and this is the only book on the market that does any of that. We have ebooks in the description down below and physical copies over on Amazon. That being said, dudes, we are hard at work on the sequel, the second book in the series, which is going to teach you all about how to do throwies in graffiti. If you guys want to submit your throwie to be in the book, then check out the submission form in the description down below and shoot over some of your work if you'd like to be in the book. Tip number 2. This is actually a lesson that I learned really early on in graffiti. When I very first began getting mentored by Demmer, I really wanted to be in the Walnut Crew. It was actually like kind of a dream between me and my partner where we very badly wanted to be in this crew, and we also wanted to be in my mentor's crew, RSH. During the process of trying to get into Walnuts, we straight up asked Demmer, hey, is it even possible for us to get into this crew? And Demmer was like, no, sorry guys, it's not happening, man. You guys are not getting in this crew. It's not even my crew in order to go ahead and initiate you guys into it. It's up to, you know, the actual crew leader, and you guys don't know him, therefore you guys will not be getting into the crew. So I kind of thought about this as a child, and I was like, you know, why do I want to get into this crew? What's the point behind being in Walnuts? Well, the point is to gain acclaim for being in Walnuts, but that's not going to give me any acclaim, because even if you're in a legendary crew like Walnuts, each individual is given the acclaim that they deserve. So if you are a toy in a legendary crew, people are still going to think you're a toy. Being in the crew doesn't suddenly make you not toy. If anything, you're just making the crew look bad. As a result of this, I decided that, you know what, I don't really want to be in the Walnuts crew. If anything, I want to gain my own acclaim to where these kinds of crews want me. That made more sense, and it turns out that that was right on the money because, well, I got into the RSH crew, and to be real, I didn't really deserve to be in that crew at all. My mentor put me down as a friendly gesture, if you will, and I can't confirm this, but maybe there was a little bit of like, oh, passing the torch, you know, this is the next generation of graffiti artists, maybe I'll pass RSH onto these guys, being me and my partner. In that case, that would be a good reason for me to have been in the crew for sure, but things did not turn out in that way. So the point remains, me being in the RSH crew back then didn't do anything for me, and it certainly didn't do anything for the crew, because at the time I was a toy. So if you're new to graffiti, don't really focus on getting into crews, and if you do get into crews, make sure it's with actual friends of yours that you can trust. Make sure it's people that you enjoy doing graffiti with. And also, especially if you're in much more populated areas, and especially if you're in the graffiti scene in these populated areas and you go to events, sometimes people will put you down in their crews as a form of respect, and you're not necessarily expected to do anything in that crew, but once again, it's their way of showing respect. Working at the graffiti store at a young age, I was invited to an abundant amount of crews, many of which I did accept just because, once again, we were at the shop, we were hosting events. There was a lot of people. It was crowded, and people were like, hey, you want to be in this crew? Sure, man. We keep it moving with the event. We keep on enjoying ourselves. We keep on doing our thing. And when I was put down into these crews, nothing was ever expected. It was, either them trying to get on the shop's good side, either them just trying to show me respect, which I doubt because I wasn't all that amazing back then. But whatever the reasoning was, it was always out of kindness. And I always prefer to reciprocate that kindness. Now, this next and last one is a very bitter pill for a lot of new graffiti artists to swallow, and that is your tools do not make you. See a lot of new graffiti artists, they're like, hey man, what markers are those? What pens are those? What are you outlining with? What spray paint is that? What cap is that? The tools do not make the artist. Now, there is a whole fundamental reason as to why this is. There's a whole entire fundamental way to how all this functions in regards to the actual fundamentals versus the tools, but we're not gonna bog all that down. I've explained that at length in plenty of different videos. But long story short, really quick analogy, if I take Leonardo da Vinci and I put a Sharpie marker in his hand, he can still do amazing anatomy, gesture, pose, expression, line, shape, form, value, space, color, texture, and create a beautiful image. If I give him oil paints and a brush, he can certainly make a much better image, but his prowess and his knowledge and his skill is still there no matter the tool I put in his hand. So if we take a brand new graffiti artist, if we take a toy and we give them all of the best stuff, that's not gonna make their letters any better. It's essentially putting makeup on a pig. It's not going to change your fundamentals. You still gotta learn those fundamentals. You still have to get that foundation nice and strong, nice and sturdy. That way you can build on top of it. You see, the tools we use more so augment our knowledge and skill that we already have. Your fundamentals should be at a 10 out of 10. That's where you want them to be. And now it doesn't matter what marker we use. It doesn't matter if we use a cheap one. That doesn't give us any benefits. Well, our fundamentals are still at a 10. And that's what we're looking for. Your tools only augment. And in some cases, they can actually detract. So if you're a brand new graffiti artist and you're using some Copic markers and you don't know how to use those markers, you don't know any fundamentals, then those high quality tools might make your fundamental mistakes stand out more. So in a nutshell, don't rush the toy phase. Enjoy the art form and take time to learn it. Number 2, don't focus on getting into a bunch of crews or getting into famous crews. Just focus on yourself. Work on your own acclaim. And number 3, the tools don't make the artist. But if you're new, let me know how your experience in graffiti has been, and if you've got a couple years under your belt, you're more experienced, let us know some tips you have for new artists as well. And I guess one final bonus tip for those guys who are new here, check out our brand new book that we just released recently. This is the only book on the market that teaches you all graffiti's fundamentals, and it even teaches you the variant structures for graffiti. You won't find this information anywhere else. We got physical copies on Amazon, we have digital copies on my online store, link in the description down below for both of those. Now, as you guys know, we're hard at work on the second book in the series here, and it's gonna be all about how to do throwies in graffiti. If you guys want a chance to be in the book, feel free to check out the submission forms in the description down below. People of all skill levels are welcome. You don't have to be good at graffiti, you don't have to be fancy with it, you just have to have a throwie. So feel free to shoot your throwie on over. Now, if you want more graffiti content and the best how to do graffiti tutorials anywhere online, check out this playlist right up here or these videos right down here. I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.